off this video for a while now, but I have got all of your questions and the time is finally here. Hey everyone, how's it going? So I've been putting this video off for a little bit just because I wanted to do my best to give you the most in-depth and detailed answers as I possibly could. But this is the thing, whenever I try to be too perfect about the things I do, they just never end up getting done. So let's just get into the questions. The first question is by Annie Choi, who asks, "Hi, I was wondering what exactly is biomedical sciences? Is it about experimenting on animal cells under different apparatus, aiming to find new ways to cure human diseases?" With that winky face. Well, Annie Choi, biomedical sciences is basically the study of human biology. It focuses on anything from bodily organs to signaling pathways to cells to systems, and in addition to all of that you also have a lot of other aspects that come into it. So for example, pharmaceuticals or different drugs and how the different drugs work within the body, and obviously human diseases, so how chronic diseases form, how pathogenic diseases form, and also things about immunology. Basically it's a very vast area. In terms of what you actually learn, you do, as I said, learn a whole range of different things under different modules. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, some of the modules that I remember doing during my undergrad were cell biology, biochemistry, physiology, pharmacology, genetics, immunology, and microbiology. And I feel like there were a bunch of other things as well. That was only in my first year. In my second year, I did respiratory diseases, cancer, neurosciences, and just generally a whole bunch of other practical and non-practical modules. So I guess it is kind of, in a way, just looking at animal cells and stuff using different equipment. But that is basically what biomedical sciences is. And oh, actually, while we're on the topic, I'll answer this question because I think somebody else asked it as well, but I couldn't find the actual comment. And the question was, what is the difference between medicine and biomedical sciences? And the difference is that if you study medicine, you will become qualified to be a doctor who actually sees patients. Whereas with biomedical sciences, you're more involved in the diagnostic aspects and also research aspects. So for example, doing blood tests and urine samples and things like that in a hospital, or also doing cancer research, which is what I'm doing now, or any other kind of research. I hope that answered your question. So the next question is by Carl. I'm just going to stay with Carl because I don't want to say your second name wrong. And he asked, "Newcastle is a great university. I do biomed at Sunderland, but I heard at the Newcastle degree isn't IBMS accredited. Is this true?" So first of all, for those of you who aren't familiar, the IBMS is the Institute of Biomedical Sciences. And these are basically an organization or a body who set the standards for biomedical sciences. Or I guess I should say the professional aspect of it. So looking at the website now, they say that what they do is they support their members in the practice of biomedical sciences through training, education, assessments, examinations, and continuous professional development. Now, this is a really important thing to consider when you are applying for universities to do biomedical sciences, because not all of the biomedical courses are IBMS accredited, which means not all of them are accepted by the IBMS. Having said that though, don't let that put you off, because typically there are two different types or two different subgenres of biomedical sciences. Those that are accredited by the IBMS, or I should say accepted by the IBMS, are the types of universities that train their students up to be able to work in hospital laboratories and do diagnostics. So for example, assessing blood, assessing urine, feces, saliva, doing all of those kind of diagnostic work. On the other hand, the more research-based universities do not offer IBMS accreditation because their general focus is to try and push students towards scientific research. Now, which one you decide to go for completely depends on you. But some of the more, I guess, Russell Group universities, or some of the more, I don't want to say better, but I guess more well-known universities do tend to be more research-based, so they do not offer this IBMS. Whereas on the other hand, a lot more polytech universities do offer IBMS, and it's good in the sense that their entry requirements are much lower. And just one last note on the topic of IBMS. If you do go for one of the accredited courses, I think you can still apply for research jobs or research further study afterwards. But if you do decide to go and do a non-accredited biomedical sciences degree and later on you want to work in the NHS, you will have to do an extra year of training to get your accreditation. So it's kind of good to have a little think before and think, well, do I want to go, you know, in the diagnostic hospital route, or do I want to go more of the research route? And that should make your life a little bit easier. And I think if you just do a quick Google search, you'll be able to see which universities do offer accreditations and which ones don't. So thank you for your question, Carl. The next question, which is by someone special, literally, their name is someone special, and they ask, can you please do a video on biomedical sciences and how you find it? Well, someone special, I am not currently doing my biomedical sciences. I've already finished it, but I guess that's even better because I can give you a full picture of how I found it. So I did my biomedical sciences degree at Newcastle University, which isn't an accredited course, and it is a university which focuses more on research. Now, I have to put my hands up and say I loved it, but I found it quite tricky. One of the most difficult things about biomedical sciences is that unlike other biology-related courses, maybe anatomy or things like that, as opposed to having a lot of things that you just learn and remember, it requires a lot of understanding. So for example, we had to learn a lot of pathways that were quite complicated, and you had to, you know, really understand the functions of the different components in the pathways, etc, etc. Overall, there were certain parts of it that I didn't find as enjoyable, but I think that just comes with any course really. There are things that you like and there are things that you don't. Having said that, if you are somebody who's considering this course, but you know, you're a little bit put off by the fact that people say, oh, it's really hard, and oh, you know, you have to study loads and you don't have a social life. Well, to be honest, it really does depend on you. And what I'm sharing with you now is just my personal story, because there were, you know, like 360 people in our course, and everybody has got a different story of how they found it. So to sum up, it requires hard work. It really requires you to love and enjoy what you do. But if you get your head down and actually do the work, then you'll be absolutely fine, and you will have 3 amazing years of amazing content to learn. And I guess as a little bit of a self-promo while I'm at it, if you want to have a look at some ways that helped me get through my exams and some tips and tricks and things like that helped me, I have made videos on them and they will be linked below. Okay, next question. So the next question is by Matilde, and so basically she's asking what are the differences between medical biology and biomedical sciences, and also why I chose biomedical sciences instead of medicine. And she also wants to know which universities to apply for in the UK, because some of them are more specialised in certain aspects and some of them aren't. Okay, so I feel like I've covered a few of these points from that question already. So definitely look into accreditation and non-accredited universities and think what you might find most beneficial to you. Secondly, what's the difference between medical biology and biomedical sciences? I think they just happen to be different courses. I've never come across a medical biology course before. In fact, give me a second, let me just do a quick Google. So I've just done a little bit of a Google search, and to be honest, it seems like medical biology and biomedical sciences are kind of the same word for different words for the same degree. By all means, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like these courses can all be quite similar. So instead of just having a look at the title, just go on different universities and have a look at the course description, and that might be able to help you make a more informed decision. As far as why I chose to do biomedical sciences instead of medicine, I kind of explained before. When I applied to university, I didn't want to be a doctor. I just wanted to go and study the research and the science. And finally, the last part of your question, you asked, could you possibly tell me some names of universities? Yes. Some of the universities that are quite good for just biomedical sciences in general, I would say Newcastle, a little bit biased, Manchester, Edinburgh, King's College, Imperial, UCL, Leeds, I believe, Lancaster. I think there's a whole bunch of them. Biomedical Sciences is quite a popular course, and I think that a majority of universities do it. In terms of accredited courses, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know for a fact that Northumbria also does accredited courses. And generally, because there are usually 2 universities in most major cities, so for example, University of Manchester does the more research-based biomedical degree, and Manchester Metropolitan does the accredited. Same with Northumberland and Newcastle. Newcastle tends to do more research, Northumbria tends to do more accredited courses. So yes, I think it would take me forever to just sit and go through lots of different universities, so just do a little Google search and I'm sure you can find what you're looking for. So the next question is by Diana, and she asks, "Hi, I was wondering how the research facility at Newcastle is. I'm planning on applying to do biomedical sciences too. Do you also know which would be a better university, Newcastle or Manchester?" Funny you ask, because I actually applied to both and I got accepted into both, but literally the only reason that I decided to go for Newcastle is because it was closer to home and I was more familiar with the city. In terms of the universities in the north, both of these unis are incredible for biomedical sciences, and I think they both rank quite highly on, the ranking system of universities, especially for this course. In terms of the research facilities, I was quite fortunate in that I managed to do my dissertation and the summer placement at the Northern Institute for Cancer Research, and the facilities there are amazing. Manchester as well, obviously I've not had a chance to work there myself, but when I went for the open day, again, the labs are absolutely massive and they are just quite modern and quite nice. As far as I can remember anyway, when I remember visiting Manchester, I remember being quite impressed by the facilities. But honestly, a little word of warning, don't be too bogged down by the facilities at the moment, because you are going to be a student and there's going to be lots of support to help you get by. So don't, try to go for really flashy facilities. One of the reasons why I say that, especially being at King's College now, is that some of the labs in this university, some of the labs in this university are very high tech, but they don't necessarily look the most modern labs. So if you base your university options just by how something looks or what the facilities are like, or how the facilities look, then you might not necessarily be making the best decision. What I would recommend is, if you're struggling to decide which university to go for, try and have a look at the course specs, and also go on places like Student Room and try to get other students' opinion of that university. So the next question is by Marissa, who asks, "Hey Atousa, hey lovely, can you transfer into medicine when you do biomedical sciences?" Yes you can. Generally what tends to happen is that even when you're enrolled in the course, you can still apply to medicine. And I think what they do is they take on only a few. I have to say it's very competitive. From my course, we had a cohort of 360 people, I believe, in our first year. I think only 5 or 6 got to transfer from that onto medicine. And I feel like every university is a little bit different, but you can apply every year while you are on biomedical sciences. And I actually have 2 friends who tried every single year, but unfortunately they weren't successful. So yes, if your grades are high enough and you have what they're looking for, then there is definitely the possibility to transfer. So the next question is by Bialaldin, who asks, "I want to do biomed simply because it interests me and I want the lab work, etc." Good option to do it. But the uni stats, and from what I've heard from others, the jobs you get into once you've graduated are simply not related to science and biomed. So, okay, I feel like I need to make a separate video on this, because that is partly true, but it's also not true. I think what you have heard from other people and, different websites and things like that, is you've probably heard that because it is quite difficult to find a job in biomedical sciences, because, as I said, it's a very, very popular course and not everybody ends up going in research, or not everybody ends up going and working in hospitals. And I specifically remember when I was in university, I would get so frustrated because I would always go to my careers advisors and I would be like, okay, so what jobs can I do with my degree? And they would say things like, oh, well, lots of people with biomedical sciences degrees go into law and they go into banking. And I would be like, well, if I wanted to to do law banking, I would have done a law banking degree. So I understand your apprehensions because I felt the frustration and it is not fun. So what I will do is I will make a separate video of, you know, what I know now compared to what I guess didn't know back then. And I will make a video talking about some of the jobs you can get when you go into biomedical studies. But for the purpose of answering your question here, yes, they kind of have a point because a lot of people stray away, especially because it's very competitive and it's very difficult to get a job with it. But it's by all means not impossible. If you have the tenacity to go ahead and maybe do a master's or maybe try and get work experience, then by all means you'll be able to get a job within that field. I think the reason why a lot of people who have biomedical sciences degrees go into other jobs and other areas is because this degree is a very good degree and a lot of people consider it to be quite a well-esteemed degree. So if you are able to demonstrate that you can do this course and you can do it well and get a good course in it, then a lot of different companies or I don't know, different job markets, sectors, I'm not sure, they'll be interested in taking you on because you have developed a lot of skills through it. But don't worry, if you want a lab job, then I'm sure you'll be able to find something. So the next question is by Axcon, who asks, I'm currently in my final year of undergraduate biomedical sciences. I was wondering if you could share your views on choosing a postgraduate course and also what uni are you studying at. So yes, I have already made some videos on postgraduate courses. I'm currently studying translational cancer medicine at King's. I am loving it. It is so tiring, but I'm loving it. And I have made a video on how to apply, how to write a personal statement, and also where to apply. So I will link all of those below. So the next question is by Tetrazolium, who asks, I've almost finished my master's in biomedical sciences, so much fun learning new stuff, totally. As I fall in love with biochemistry and molecular biology, may I know any suggestion for any universities that are suitable for me to continue my PhD? Right, so I had a few PhD related questions, and the thing with a PhD is that it's not necessarily like a course, it's more like a job, and I think it's better to consider it like a job than a course. The reason why I say that is because when you're applying for a PhD, every single PhD title or project title is completely different. So when you're thinking about applying for PhDs, you should think about it in terms of applying for jobs. So if you're looking for a job, you might look at the job specifications and what requirements you need, what experiences you need, and it typically tends to work more like that for a PhD. But I know I'm being a little bit vague here, so to try and answer your question as best as I can, I would say if you want to do a PhD in biomedical sciences or the field of medicine, then firstly have a look at research universities. So again, the London ones are quite good, you know, King's, Imperial, UCL. Then there are things like ICR, which is Institute of Cancer Research, and there is the Crick Institute, which is also good for a lot of biomedical topics and cancer and diseases, things like that. And generally all other research universities, so Newcastle, Manchester, Edinburgh, etc. Generally what I would advise if you do want to do a PhD is go on findaphd.com. They are pretty good in that they tend to have pretty much all the PhDs in your field there, and you can apply to them just like you would apply for a job, as I already said. But if you want to be a little bit of an early bird, what I would recommend is looking at different academics within a university. So for example, if you find a certain person who is like specializing in, I don't know, like breast cancer or something, it might be worth sending them a quick email and saying, well, I've done my master's, I've done my degree, I'm really interested in your field, is there any chance you have a PhD available? And sometimes just through making sheer contacts, you'll be able to find yourself something. So that is all of the questions that I got, and I'm sorry that I completely whizzed through them, but I feel like I've been talking for like a decade, so I just wanted to cut this video and make it as short as possible. And guys, let me know what you took away from this video. So let me know if you are an undergraduate student or if you are in your, doing your A-levels and you want to go and do biomedical sciences, because, I'm just genuinely curious. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up because it would help me out a lot, and also subscribe and hang around because I have lots of other videos coming up. Okay, well, I will have to love you and leave you, so until next time, take care and I'll see you later. Mwah.